Welcome to our lesson on selective breeding. The key questions for today are: why do we selectively breed plants and animals? What characteristics do we selectively breed for? What is the process involved in selective breeding? What are the advantages of selective breeding? What are the disadvantages of selective breeding? The key terms you will need to know are domesticated, desired characteristics, genes, selected, inbreeding. Selective breeding is a process that has been used by humans to obtain a large amount of organisms with selected characteristics. This can apply to both plants and animals. We generally use plants as a food source for ourselves or animals that we keep. So it is useful for us to be able to obtain a large crop of plants that produce many fruits or vegetables or are resistant to pests and diseases that could damage the plants. Plants can also be selectively bred to give desirable aesthetic characteristics, such as large flowers, colourful flowers, and few leaves as some examples. Animals that are kept as pets or on farms can also be selectively bred to give characteristics that are desirable and useful. For example, dairy cows can be bred so that they produce a lot of milk, or chickens bred so that they may lay many large eggs. Domestic animals can be bred for characteristics that make them good pets, for example, short fur, different colours, or not causing allergies. Task: list the characteristics in dogs that could be seen as desirable. The characteristics that could be seen as desirable include attractive colour, long fur, large eyes, friendly, nice temperament, short legs, smooth fur, curly fur. The characteristics could be anything that makes the dog more desirable to humans. It is important to recognise that these characteristics may not necessarily be advantageous to the dog in terms of its health or life. Sometimes the characteristics that are bred for lead to problems for the animals. An example of this is cats with flat faces. Humans deem the flat-faced cats the cutest, so people breed cats to deliberately have flat faces. However, this can sometimes lead to problems with the cat's eyes and tear ducts, leading to infections. The process of selective breeding starts when certain characteristics displayed by some organisms in a population are deemed desirable. Then the organisms with these characteristics are chosen and bred together. The offspring should include at least some organisms with the desired characteristics. These offspring are then bred together. This is repeated over many generations until all of the offspring have the desired characteristics. Task: a rabbit breeder plans to produce many rabbits with long ears and spotty fur. Describe how the rabbit breeder could do this. The rabbit breeder should choose 2 rabbits from a mixed population of rabbits that have these characteristics. These rabbits should be bred together. Their offspring will show variation in ear length and fur patterns. The rabbit breeder should choose from the offspring the 2 rabbits with the longest ears and spottiest fur and breed them. This should be repeated over many generations until all of the offspring have long ears and spotty fur. Extension: suggest some other characteristics rabbits may be bred for. Rabbits could be bred for fur length, eye colour, claw length, temperament or health. The advantages of selective breeding is that a large amount of organisms with useful or desirable characteristics can be produced. This applies to plants and animals. This can increase food production for humans. For example, plants can be selectively bred by pollinating them artificially. In this way, the pollen from one plant can be brushed off and placed on another plant. If the biggest plants are chosen, or the plants that produce the most of a crop, then some of the offspring grown from the seeds would also show those characteristics. When repeated over generations, all of the seeds produced would develop into plants with the desired characteristics. A disadvantage of selective breeding is called inbreeding. This is because the gene pool is limited as offspring from the same parents are bred together. This can lead to more recessive genetic disorders and can make the organisms more susceptible to diseases. Task: answer this AQA exam question. Many people have breathing problems because they are allergic to cats. The allergy is caused by a chemical called FeLD1. Different cats produce different amounts of FeLD1. A cat has been bred so that it does not produce FeLD1. The cat does not cause an allergic reaction. Explain how the cat has been produced using selective breeding. Two cats that produce the least amount of FeLD1 are chosen and bred together. There will be variation in the amounts of FeLD1 produced by their offspring. Choose the two that produce the least amount of FeLD1 and breed them together. Repeat this many times over many generations until all of the cats produce very little FeLD1. Extension: answer this AQA exam question. In a herd of cows, scientists found one cow with a mutation. The cow's milk contained only 2.9% fat. Figure 2 shows the percentage of fat in the milk of cattle related to the cow with the mutation. The values for male cattle are the mean values of their female offspring. A. Animal 8 is homozygous. The mutation in animal 7 produced a dominant allele for making low-fat milk. Give evidence from figure 2 that animal 7 is heterozygous. Animals 7 and 8 produced 11 offspring. B. Draw a Punnett square diagram to show a cross between animals 7 and 8. Identify which offspring produce low-fat milk and which offspring produce high-fat milk. Use the following symbols. Capital D, dominant allele for making low-fat milk. Lowercase d, recessive allele for making high-fat milk. C. The scientists want to produce a type of cattle that makes large volumes of low-fat milk. The scientists will selectively breed some of the animals shown in figure 2. Describe how the scientists would do this. And here are the answers. A. Animal 7 must be heterozygous because some of the offspring produced high milk fat, meaning that they did not inherit the dominant allele for low-fat milk. If animal 7 was homozygous, then all of the offspring would produce low-fat milk. B. The offspring with the genotype capital D, lowercase d would produce low-fat milk. The offspring with the genotype lowercase d produce high-fat milk. C. The scientists should find female with the lowest fat in milk and highest milk yield, so cows 7, 9, 12 or 13. Then find a male whose female offspring have highest milk yield and lowest fat in milk, so cows 16 and 18. The scientists should then breed these cows, then select from the offspring those that have the lowest fat milk and the highest yield and breed them. They should repeat this over many generations.